Today I'm joined by Natasa Vuckovic, President of the European Association for Local Democracy, with whom we will discuss participatory democracy and the challenges faced by civil society in Eastern Europe, as well as the project ALDA is implementing in the Republic of Moldova. Thank you for your invitation.
Thank you for inviting me.
What is ALDA's role in supporting local democracy and civil society in the Republic of Moldova and more broadly in Eastern Europe?
Well, ALDA is a European-based organization, registered in France, but actually active throughout Europe, active in the Western Balkans, but also active in Central and Eastern Europe, particularly here in Chișinău. It has its own office, but also very active in Ukraine with a couple of local democracy agencies, which are actually independent NGOs, but within the network of ALDA. So ALDA is a very unique organization because it actually unites local and regional authorities, meaning cities, municipalities, regions, and so on one side. So there are members. And on the other side, civil society organizations. And so it is through this network that ALDA actually contributes to deliberation, discussion, debate on development, on democracy, and all other issues, mostly on local level, okay? Because it is in the philosophy of ALDA that all changes, all reforms are actually implemented on local level. So what we are trying to do also here in Moldova is to get different stakeholders, local and regional authorities with civil society organizations to discuss the development of Moldova. And it means actually how to bring Moldova closer to the EU.
The 2025 Civil Engagement Conference hosted in Chișinău has ambition and goals. What concrete outcomes do you expect from this discussion, and how do you hope they will influence the civic community in both Moldova and the region?
It's a very important topic. It's a very important conference, therefore, because all democracies, actually to which extent citizens participate in debating development of the society, of economy, how they see the transformation of politics, and so on. So it is very important that citizens participate. So what we discussed at this conference is actually what are the channels through which citizens can participate, how we shall mobilize them, how we shall motivate them, because it is very important that they are well informed about what is going on in various fields of the various ways, roads of society, of politics, economy, so that they enter into this dialogue with decision makers as informed citizens, because debate and dialogue is important only if we are informed about what we are speaking about. And then it is also very important that they monitor the reforms, that they say, well, yes, we were for this reform, but we don't see that it goes well. So we want it to be upgraded, we want it to be repaired, we want it to be changed, modified, and so on. So that is important that citizens have to say, and that's what we debate today is, are there innovative waves of citizens' participation that we can actually share among ourselves from European Union, from Central and Eastern Europe, in Moldova, in the neighborhood, and so on. So that's the issue.
In the face of such pressures, what can civil society organization do to remain resilient, and to what extent can international networks such as ALDA help them overcome their obstacles?
Yes, well, it's a very important question. Thank you for that. Well, we can say that civil society is under significant pressure lately. We can see in many countries of Central and Eastern Europe, in Georgia, in Hungary to a certain extent, then also I can say in Serbia that civil society is under pressure from non-democratic practices and so on, foreign agent acts and so on. So those threats are to be taken seriously. That's one thing. And the other thing is that we have to work to make the environment in which civil society work more enabling, more empowering and so on, so that the legal framework is improved, that practice is improved, that there are channels for communication between the decision maker and civil society networks, civil society organizations. ALDA has a very large experience of that kind of communication with national governments, parliaments, international bodies, EU bodies and institutions. We are a member of the European Economic and Social Council. We are a very active part in the Committee of Regions in the EU. So that is of the utmost importance. And what I always say for ALDA is that it connects the citizens from the European Union with the citizens of non-EU countries. And that is very important, that exchange that we can have through ALDA.
ALDA connects local authorities, NGOs, and citizens across countries, creating synergies and opportunities for local region cooperation. How important are such international network for strengthening local capacity, and what tangible benefits do they bring to civic organization in Moldova?
I think that we all have to learn from each other, particularly as the countries that are aspiring to become EU member states. We are in the process of accession negotiations. And so for all of us, Moldova, Ukraine, Montenegro, Albania, Serbia, and so on, it is very important to learn from European tradition and experience how to improve our practices, our frameworks, our practices, our strategies, and so on. So ALDA can help us a great deal. It is very important to be aware of the potentials that ALDA can bring. For example, if Barcelona is member of ALDA, and we have also a member from Barcelona in our managing board, or if you see that, a couple of regions from Italy are members of ALDA, or a region from France, big region on the north, is part of ALDA. So it is through ALDA that all these experiences are collected in a way, and that we can build upon. We can build partnerships, we can learn lessons, we can share experience, and I think that is very important. We can have joint projects, and that is of the utmost importance for all of us.
In the context of Eastern Partnership, what do you see the main opportunities for regional collaboration to strengthen local democracy? How can countries like Moldova, Ukraine, and Georgia learn from one another and work together to promote civic engagement?
Well, first of all, you have to assess the common legacy, I would say. What are the issues that you share? And I think that all three of you have the same legacy, and now, Ukraine is in a serious conflict war and so on, but the others are also threatened by the ongoing conflict, and there are a lot of consequences. So it's going to be, at one point, it's going to be a post-conflict space, and so there is a need to see how you're going also to handle this post-conflict situation. We have some experience also in the Western Balkans about this, because and ALDA was actually born in the situation of conflict context, and then it evolved in this post-conflict context, and that is also important to see how the wounds would be settled and taken care of. That's very important. But as EU membership aspiring countries, I think that you can build your partnerships and working together through responding to the common challenges. And what are the common challenges? I think we all share them. It's about how to make better rule of law, how to make better division of power, how to make independence of judiciary a real thing, and how to fight corruption. We all experience that kind of problems. They're more or less routine, more or less large, but they're a big challenge for all candidate countries.
You have had an impressive career spanning over 2 decades. From founding the Center for Democracy Foundation to Serbia to serving in the Serbian Parliament and participating in the Parliament Assembly and in the Council of Europe. How has this extensive experience shaped your vision of civic engagement and European values now in your role as ALDA President?
You know, I always believed in European values, not knowing that they are European. I mean, they were mine because I always wanted to live in a democratic country. I always wanted to, I'm a lawyer and I wanted to have, you know, accountable government and independent judiciary and human rights that are respected, and those are my values. So it turned out that they're European. Very good. You know, let us be serious now. You know, my approach was that these values are to be fought for in all areas of life. So in business, in government, in civil society organizations, and that if you really thrive for those values, you have to protect them even in business. So I advocate for human rights in business as well, because I think it's important that businesses also respect human rights. When I was in Parliament, you know, of course I see my activity in the Council of Europe as part of this fight, because Council of Europe is an institution that promotes democracy, rule of law, and human rights. And now with ALDA, you know, I think that ALDA shared the same values, and that's where we met.
You are one of the women leading a pro-democracy international organization. How do you pursue the role of female leadership in civil society, and have you faced specific challenges as a woman leader in this field?
To be honest, I never considered it as a special feature, but I realized that women are in majority in civil society organizations, but not only civil society organizations, also in EU-led initiatives. So I don't know for Moldova, but for example for Serbia, and I think also that's the case in Montenegro, to a certain extent also in Albania, there are so many women fighting for EU integration of their countries. You know, because that's a tough job. That's a lot of work. It requires a lot of energy. And it requires a continuous work. It's not only, you know, one mandate. Huh? And so that's why I think that women are more consistent maybe in this world of EU institutions and EU-led reforms. But you know, I never liked to put divisions on gender and so on. I think that in EU integration, in development, we have to work together, as I think that for gender equality, we have to involve men in that fight as well, because women don't suffice. We are important, but also men shall fight for women independence and women equality and so on.
What message or advice would you offer to young women who aspire to become leaders in the civil society and in local democracy?
Well, if they're in civil society, I would advise them, and I would support them in making their dreams come true, meaning that, you know, they have to be consistent in fighting for the values they stand for, and they have to apply their knowledge and skills to involve and mobilize other people, because I think that's really this kind of communication is something that women can do very well. I don't say better than men, but they can do it very well. So that's one thing. If they thrive, if they want to enter into politics on local level, well, I would have much more advices. But one of the advices is that they have to build their own networks, you know, because men, they're excellent in building networks of supporters, of colleagues, of, you know. So somehow women think that we can do it by presenting ourselves and that, people will identify our capacities, our skills and so on, that we are hard workers. Hard work will help, but not only hard work will help in politics. So you need networks and you need supporters. And so we need to learn that.
Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for your attention. That's all for today. Subscribe to our channel and social network.